Had a great chat last night about how Leeds United go about staying in the Premier League next season. This was over on the Just Joe YouTube channel. We talked about the club, the manager, the recruitment, and what I learned watching Ipswich try to do exactly the same thing and failing last season. Here's a clip, and we'll link the full interview at the end of the video. I mean, you tell me, Joe, what is the expectation for Daniel Farke? Is it just to be above the line, stay in that league at any cost?
I'd take it now. But yeah, that's all it is. That is genuinely all it is. And I think most Leeds fans would agree. There are some, and listen, I've gone just on some other shows going, we're going to get Conference League and all that sort of stuff. But if you could give me 17th now, Ben, I'd take it. Yeah, I'd take it. And I think the most level-headed Leeds fans would tell you that as well, regardless, because I always have to bat away comments of like, yeah, but it's Brentford, yeah, but it's Bournemouth, but it's no, they've been a Premier League club. You know, the fact that Bournemouth could sign someone like Evan Nilsson, you know, shows you that Premier League pull is just beyond any clubs in Europe. You can beat players like teams like AC Milan to signings because you're in the Premier League. So, yeah, I just think it is, like you say, it's tough now. So I think most would say, give me 17th. I'd take 17th too, 3 seasons on trot, and then start to, move up the table. I genuinely would.
But this is the thing, Joe, about the fan base getting emotional. 17th is one place above 18th, which means if you're in 18th, you cannot panic about not being in 17th. So if you're, we all kind of said as Ipswich fans, can you get into, say, the last 5 games or something, and if you were to have a couple of wins or something in the last 5 games, you had a chance of staying up. That was all we wanted. I mean, it strikes me that you have to kind of track it and just get up ahead of, 1 point per game. The worry I've got is that one of the promoted teams, if they are tracking towards 35 or 38 points, that, the teams that are really stinking the joint out then turn it. Like, for example, Wolves last year, mate, were utterly dreadful. They were useless for, up until now. And Ipswich won there, actually, as one of the few victories. And then Gary O'Neill got sacked. And we're like, right, there's a chance here. Because Wolves that look like they're chaotic and they're going to throw it in and maybe they'll score under 30 points. And then they changed the manager and they had Cunha, obviously.
Yeah,
and
of course,
we played them in, spring. And they had these 2 Brazilian lads in central midfield who it turns out are Brazil's first choice midfield pair. And they absolutely just ripped us a new one. I think we took the lead in that game. Possibly as well. It's one of those games though where you're like, the door is being knocked down, and if they stick 1 goal in, this is completely flipping. And you almost start to say, Joe, is the question less what the Leeds need to do to survive, but more what would it actually take for one of the 17 to cock it up? But talk to me about Brentford, because they've changed the manager.
This is the thing. I was gonna touch on that a little bit later on, but there are some questions I've got for you with regards to that. But me and you will both know Keith Andrews very well from his time covering the Championship. Leeds fans have a very big disdain for the man because it felt like he never gave us a fair shake. He was always critical of the Leeds side, regardless of who was manager. I really dislike him. I don't think he's been successful at MK Dons or at Sheffield United in a coaching perspective. The fact that he's been promoted from free kick coach to now main guy.
He must do a killer interview.
I know, right? And then to lose.
I mean, he's a great talker, to be fair. When he's got the gift of gab, hasn't he?
Mbeumo, Norgard, and Newcastle also want Visser, and they may be cash very healthy soon if Isak goes to Liverpool. So
then Hutchinson, Joe, you mentioned he'll go from Ipswich to Brentford, obviously.
Yeah, Brentford. Which again, I really like Amari Hutchinson, and I've said on this show that I would take him, but I don't know if that's going to bridge the gap of an Mbeumo or a Vissa, for example. But they are one of my pick because I actually believe, Ben, before a ball's kick, us and Sunderland will stay up. I think Burnley go down just because they won't score enough, and defensively, I don't think they'll be the same after losing the other centre back and the goalkeeper might be on his way to City.
He was immense, wasn't he, Trafford?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, unreal. So City or Newcastle take him, and just Parker. I'm not sure. And so I think Burnley go down, and then I throw in Brentford and Wolves in there. To be honest, that's where I'm at, and I think both us and Sunderland stay up. I don't know what your take is on that. Have you got any thoughts on Keith Andrews, though? It's madness.
I mean, I listened to the someone in the comments will tell me his name. Is it Giles, the sporting director at Brentford? They're very clever at Brentford, aren't they? They obviously made the hire, and so the sporting director comes out and does an interview. And his argument, Joe, and you can decide whether you're buying this or not, is that they wanted him on the staff, and the only opening they could do was on the set plays. Okay. But there was always a structure to get him. I mean, you wouldn't imagine he would have gone. You would have thought he would have gone set play coach, first team coach, manager, rather than set play guy. But they did argue that they wanted him. They wanted him kind of, to be on some kind of. There's probably some corporate speak for your career progression path or whatever. Listen. It could have been Kieran McKenna, so I'm all for Keith Andrews being
happy days, right?
But, Joe, you get this with clubs that overperform, so to speak. And that said, with absolute love to Brentford, they've been incredible, where there's often a time... Do you know, I thought it would be when Ivan Toney went. There's often a time where the bottom falls out. And as you said, the captain's gone. The talisman was Toney, and they survived that. The manager... and Frank was charismatic, and he knew what he was.
So good, so good. Like I disliked him when we were competing in the Championship, but ever since then, and I'm so impressed by him. I think he's a great manager.
But you want those Housery managers, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You want him to be a little bit of a S-house, don't you? And he was. I always remember him in the playoffs walking up and like 10 minutes into the game, and he's pointing at his watch saying Bournemouth are wasting time because they'd had a red card or whatever. And he literally had the whole stadium on strings marching to, his beat, and they go on and win it, and they go on and get promoted. Yeah. So, something about him. And when you lose a manager who's been there quite that length of time, the worry is, Joe, that the chasm is as big as we think it might be. And if I've sat here and said... Right, Everton, crap for large parts of last year. Man United, awful, dire, dreadful, the worst they've been in decades. Spurs, exactly the same, pathetic. Wolves, dreadful up until Christmas. And you're like, they all still survived. And that's the worry that, Brentford could really be, say they drop off, Joe, by 30%. That, I mean, you could do points numbers on it, Probably still surviving, aren't they?